and a deep breath.
Hail and welcome to the Magical Human Show, celebrating the full elder moon in Gemini that happened a couple of days ago. I am Claire the Oily Witch. This is take three of this, and this is.
Third time lucky. June Tranmer Wellbeing, based in York.
And I was quite calm until I started to try and do this, and let's see what happens. I think it's June's crazy energy.
I'm
And
feeling a bit
mine,
fragmented today, I have to tell you.
well, that's a lot of stuff going on in the world. So, shall I talk about the moon? Because I think people want to know what the moon means.
Yeah, and I thought it was 11:30 last night.
And then that's interesting that you thought that. Um, the moon was on, yeah, it was on Thursday. Yeah,
That was last
on
night.
Thursday.
Today
It
is Friday.
absolutely was on Thursday.
Phew.
Really losing the plot here.
Well,
And
as I said, fragmented. We're
I
all
wasn't losing it, but seem to have today. And that's fine. I'm fine with that. So, what was this moon all about? What is this moon all about? Because when we have a full moon, the effects last for a few days either side of it. So, you might have already felt it from a couple of days ago, like I
Mhm.
clearly did, or you might have felt it yesterday and you might be feeling it today, tomorrow. It just, it's not just over one day, especially with what's going on with the astrology at the moment, which I will now explain. So, Elder is kind of what do I want to say about Elder? Elder is the 13th of the trees. This year we only had 12 full moons. So I grouped Ivy and Bramble together, but generally they are separate.
Ah,
Elder basically is about 13 is a feminine. It's a very deeply feminine tree. And this is about letting go. It's always about letting go of outdated, shedding skins, really, shedding skins of emotional stories, family stories, karmic patterns, which no longer serve you. And I find it interesting that it rained really badly all day here yesterday. I don't know what it did with you, June, but rain is water, is emotion, is memory. So I felt that that was really apt for it to do that. Now, with it being in Gemini, what that was allowing was us to find the words and the ability to communicate these stories, these emotional vulnerabilities and upsets and traumas in a way that could be understood by whoever was on the receiving end of them. And there might just have been you yourself that was on the receiving end of that, like with a few eureka moments of, oh, I now understand how that pattern fits together. So there's a lot of that energy of finding the words, also, Gemini is twin. So it's like the inner contradictions of the stories, like how they can pull you one way or another, and then translating them from heartaches to offerings. And that is the same always with any difficulty. There is always an offering, and there is always a light side to the darkness. This polarity, as we like to talk about in this, is just universal and never fucking ending. Anyway, what else is going on in the big picture stuff is Sagittarius Sun. Now, Sagittarius Sun, what it's doing in the backdrop of this moon is taking us as moving away from these tragedies and emotional restrictions do away from being small, as someone said to me last weekend when they gave me a palm reading, stop it. You moved away from being an apology for yourself to being yourself. And I'd say that was a really good analogy for
oh,
experiencing this moon and the Sagittarian energy of going from being small and keeping yourself small because you filled an identity for other people that like to keep you small. You kept yourself small because you didn't feel safe, PTSD, etc. That's my story. Everyone's got one. And then letting go of that repetitive drama, family karma, and finding release and expansion. So that's what's kind of the backstory. Then you've got Mercury in Scorpio, which is literally allowing this kind of emotional forensic scalpel to kind of exercise where those stories are hidden within the body and in the mind, to dig at the points where it hurts. So if people have been feeling hurty, then that's why. And this is an invitation to be precise and to be brave and to excavate the buried narratives. And I've done a couple of lives, and I have been saying, for me, it feels like raising the Titanic out of the Bermuda Triangle. And there is quite a lot of stuff in my Bermuda Triangle, quite a few different ships and planes. And I was talking to somebody else that was saying, which I thought was very wise, that we can't lift everything at once because we don't have the capacity to lift everything at once, or we can allow one to come up, one skin to shed. So I would ask you, I would counsel you to pick one thing that one narrative, one story around emotions that no longer serves that you wish to release. Now, Venus is expanding our value because she is in Sagittarius. So she's trying to help us feel really good about ourselves, which is what's helping this release and what will fill the space that release creates. Self-worth will come in instead. Because when you give out something, you must have something that comes back in. Otherwise, you have a hole and somebody else might climb in your hole. Don't want that.
Mhm.
Um, Mars in Sagittarius is giving us the energy for that expansion. It's really making us feel quite active about doing these things, about making these changes. So there's all of that going on. Then we've got Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, which is why we know that these stories come from the family, come from the ancestry, come from the emotional past. They're an emotional inheritance quite often. And we've got to rescind them, unlearn them, especially the promises, the old promises we made in childhood, so that we can go beyond and renegotiate the family scripts and say, hey, I'm not that person anymore, you know. And if you're going to carry on seeing me as that person, adios, amigo, until you see me as I am now, because everyone has the right to upgrade and change. We don't have to carry on living out someone else's narrative for us. We can choose. As I said to my husband when he was trying to have a stupid argument with me last night, I said, your narrative is out of date, dear. That is an old habit. Goes back years. But if you want to carry on using it, that's fine, but just know you're out of date. Saturn is Pisces, but direct. So this is helping us to be more structured spiritually, to face our illusions about who we are and who we're not, honoring our vulnerability, allowing us to make that release sustainable. Like a couple of people are kind of, and I have this as well myself. When we're releasing stuff, when we're working on stuff, there's always the fear that it might come back, that, we've done some work, but it hasn't really cleared. I've
Mm.
just cautioned clearing is one skin at a time. But the Saturn in Pisces invitation is put your structures in place so the releases are sustainable because you're keeping on top of it. You're keeping clearing out your garbage. You know what's in your garbage or in your light. And why I'm always talking about garbage, nice things in the fridge. And that's what comes from spiritual practice. I don't know why I'm talking in food, but
It's
hey,
lunchtime.
it's lunchtime. Uranus is retrograde in Taurus, which is disrupting our material identity and certainties, and is also making permanent changes in how we embody our work. So this is allowing us to look at our bodies, look at our health, look at the way we're behaving, and make those permanent structural changes. It's kind of blowing things up. It's blowing up our perceived identities of ourselves, and certainly in some cases, our material connection to the earth in order to align us. Because
Mm.
everything is about alignment. So if you're doing jobs that don't serve you anymore, they help to keep you small, to help keep damaging your self-esteem and self-worth and self-value. Expect that to go. Neptune is at the anaretic degree still in Pisces, retrograde, calling for purification of what is clouding intuition. So, Neptune is saying, come on, Clear all the stuff that's getting in the way of you being sovereign and aligned to your higher self. And then Pluto in Aquarius is now at 2 degrees. And what he is saying is whatever you do, whatever work you do, you are helping the collective. So when you work on you, you're helping the ripples because your ripples become much more positive, which means they touch other people in a more positive way. And inshallah, that is how it all goes together. So that is what I have to say on the astrology. June, comments, please.
So many thoughts, and I didn't write any of them down. So they're all going to come out a bit
Yeah.
higgledy-piggledy. And also, sort of picking up on things that you said because I like to follow up on things that resonate with me after what you've said, not just me coming in and going, well, this is what I think. So, the Mars in Scorpio, interesting, very interesting, because
Mercury, Scorpio, not Mars, Mercury. Mars is in Sagittarius, giving us the kind of taste for the adventure, the energy to
okay,
do
well,
it.
I have got Mars in Scorpio, so yeah, let's just let's stick with the Scorpio thing. I had my birthday a few weeks ago, and going along with this theme of the chrysalis and the transformation and all that stuff, lots of sleeping, but then not sleeping. And this whole swinging back and forth, having crazy dreams, and feeling really like can't keep my eyes open some days.
Mhm.
And not when I'm at work. I'm usually okay at work, but when I stop, I'm like, I need to rest. So I'm using every tool in my toolbox, all of the touch for health, balancing things, all of the outside external figure eight energy things. That really helped yesterday because I was not tired, which was really interesting. I got to my volunteering job and I did 14 mini massages in the day. And I was okay when I left.
Can you do maybe just show people an exercise if they're right
I
now?
will, I will. Yeah, that would be great. I have got tomorrow afternoon, I've got a little mini workshop from 1 till
Okay.
2 with a link for joining online if people want to do that. So they
Could you
can
do
go
one
over
right
it
now?
with me. The figure eight thing is not touch for health, but it's really, really helpful. If you feel which way you think it's meant to go. I use dowsing or muscle checking to do this, but I go up from my left hip to my right shoulder, over the top of my head, down through the left shoulder to the right hip, and then down below my feet. So obviously, doing that in my mind as much as with my hand, because I'm not going whoosh down to my bottoms of my feet. So that really, really helps just to clear anything that's gotten stuck to you during anytime. Because two things can also be going on at the same time, as we know. And we can be confused, but we can also be really clear. These things are happening in parallel, and we can be very good with our boundaries, but then sometimes things just come out of nowhere and you go, hey, wait, what? And you have to stop and think about that. So I've had to do that a few times this last little while. But being me, never just pick one thing to release. I have a list, but they're all interlinked, and I'm going to give myself some acupuncture later on. There's a five element method for clearing excess energies that have you brought with you in some cases. So these may be the very ancestral things that we're talking about quite a lot on here. But there's the back ones that are your things that get you from somewhere. Somebody, you can't do that on yourself. I have to have somebody help me do that. But I can do the front ones. So I'm going to do that when we've finished. And yeah, there's been a whole load of emotional inheritance. I'm watching my daughter, my gorgeous, lovely daughter, who is so gifted and artistic and clever, and she's not being given the chance to fly in her work. She's the kind of really super practical person that I also am. And she kind of is holding everything, it seems to me. And a lot of people seem to rely on her. So, yeah, she's doing well. She's created this whole new beautiful life for herself in Thailand, where I'm going to visit her in less than 2 weeks. I still haven't got my ticket. Talk about flying by the seat of your pants. I always do everything at the last minute, and I'm just gathering the resources to make sure I've got enough to cover everything while I'm gone. When I was younger, I'd just go and think about the consequences later. Now I'm thinking maybe I should just make sure things are in place here. So I'm making sure that people are looking after the clinic, people are looking after my house, that all the bank things are all in place. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Mercury and Scorpio too. I people are listening and repeating what I've said to them, which is quite interesting now. But I find myself telling people what I understand to be truths, and they are shocking. They are, some of them are really, the things I'm talking about. But they're going, oh my God, I had no idea. How did you find this stuff out? I said, well, it's been a long journey of bits here and bits there. You don't want to look at it all at once because it will make your head explode and your heart break. But we need to keep one eye on this stuff because it's coming to the surface. And like you just said, one thing at a time. But it all links up. That's the thing with all the awful shadowy stuff that has been going on for hundreds of years. It's time for it to be brought out, and not that many people are that brave. Although I am also recognizing that I'm a brave person, but I'm also quite scared. So, that, like I said, two things can be true at the same time. So yeah, it's important to stand in our truth and to help other people if they're feeling more scared than we are, to say it's okay. We've got this. Together we've got this.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I just wish everyone would understand that standing in, look, taking care of ourselves, we've got enough ancestral stuff going on and enough strife and trauma in most of our lines, for one reason or another, some really good reasons, and that is in itself an enormous piece of work. And if people focused on that, and as I always say, if it crosses your path and you've got the opportunity to do something about it, do something about it. Otherwise, don't give it your attention because that is a leak on your energy field and it's
Yeah.
a distraction against what you need to be doing for your own family line. And
Mm,
that isn't a get out clause telling people that they have to abandon things they feel passionate about
no.
at all. It's just a reality set. If looking at things makes you feel like I was in a Pilates class yesterday and this woman started going on about how there was no rabbits in the area because the government had put down all this poison that made them bleed to death in their burrows. So they'd wiped out the rabbit populations locally because they didn't want them on the verges. And I'd never heard anything so horrendous. I'm year of the rabbit as well, so that was like bleh, really
Oh.
horrible. And then she started talking about the different bees that have been imported, the black bees that were brought in, that have taken out our native, all this stuff. And I was just like, I need to get out of this room. I said it out loud. I need to get out of this room because you're really, what you're saying is so horrendous that I can't actually stay here and listen. And obviously it's
One
carrying on.
thing at a time would have been enough.
Well,
She
yes, but
could
also,
have she could have stopped with one thing. If she needed to voice it, she could have just gone, I'm really concerned about this, and then just stopped. But sometimes people get on a roll, don't they?
well, absolutely. And that's okay as well, because that's for them and that's what they're living with. But it's for us to go, this doesn't work for me. I need to get out because it's going to really mess with the rest of my day. And actually, I can't stop the government doing that. I can be aware of it and I can talk about it on here so other people are aware of it. And then perhaps
Hmm.
something can be done. But it's like, I don't have the capacity to single-handedly take on the government to stop that happening. It is disgusting, though.
Yeah, it is. It
Absolutely
is.
disgusting.
Well,
How
it's when they introduced myxomatosis back in the 70s or whenever it was.
well, that's still going on all around here. I mean, it's
Is that
ridiculous.
what she's talking about?
No, she's talking about something even worse, where the
Oh
rabbits eat
no.
something and they go underground and bleed to death. So they just,
Oh my
it's just
God.
having that
Well, it'd
poison
be
in the
like
land.
warfarin for rats. It'd be something like that. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, that's what Watership Down was all
I
about.
know. And that's what I started thinking about. And it just like
Yeah.
this whole thing of not understanding the importance of the land, poisoning the land. On
I
the flip
know.
side, just to make everyone feel better, I saw this guy had created this beautiful short video about fairies and how they're real. And fairies are the guardians of the earth energy and the guardians of earth healing. And so recognizing that and knowing that means you're more likely to encounter that. And remember, your reality is your own to choose. It's not as conditioned as you think. And so I was thought, wow. And I know I've always believed in fairies, but the video he had of these beautiful light beings just going around managing the water. And he said, every time you go to a sacred site and you just sit there and you feel this beautiful sense of calm when you touch a tree, sit by, yeah, holy water, that's fairies. That's what the fairies have created. And I was
Mm,
just like, oh, there's so much
yeah.
magic. And that's why everything will right itself, It's all tests, it's all
Yep.
light, it's dark. It's like it will all be okay.
Yeah. What I loved about what you said at the beginning was there's always an offering. You can always find even the people who are going through the most horrendous stuff in what is now better to call West Asia rather than the Middle East, because Middle East is referring to it in reference to us, and they should be referred to in reference to themselves.
Mm,
Somebody pointed that out, and I thought, oh,
nice.
that's very good.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
yeah, what they are going through, but I keep seeing posts of them like Phoenix rising from the ashes, literally,
mm.
and they are going around fixing things in the middle of still being bombarded. There is no actual ceasefire, but never mind that. There's less of it, but now they have to contend with the rain. But they actually, the rain is cleansing.
It
It's
does.
it's it's all of that it brings as well. And like I see every time, because we're always dealing with people going, "Oh, I hate this weather." I'm going, "Please don't hate the rain. Please, please, please bless the rain. Thank it because it brings life and vitality, and it's got a sensitivity to us putting bad vibes onto it." Mm,
And that just made me think, June. So we go on about this is just a new thing coming in about man-made, and we
mm,
worry about man-made chemicals, toxins, etc. But we are actually a closed system,
mm,
the Earth, within our atmosphere.
mm,
So, what about if we believe in the divine spirit and source, everything that we have created has come from some collective, soup of intelligence. It's
mm,
already out there. So all the toxins and the bad stuff is just a reflection of all the light stuff. And actually, everything is totally manageable because there is balance and everything will right its, will find its equilibrium, its homeostasis again. So
yeah.
man-made stuff is shit and it's killing stuff off in so many ways. But at the same time, there's innovation and there's development and there's good sides to it. So it's both. So
Mm.
it's kind of, I guess I'm just trying to find a way to make
Well,
friends
I
with
think
with
it
petrol products. I'm
Well,
not.
there's that, but yes, there's a lot of things we wouldn't have if it wasn't for petroleum-based byproducts. But
Yeah.
all the same, I mean, I think it's. Oh, I just had a little spark there, but it's gone again. Yeah, no, it's. What did you just say about
Collective.
light and the dark
Yeah.
of it all? That it is all part of the same thing. And yeah, that was it. I used to be such a fanatic purist about the food that I put into my kids that the flip side of that is creating anxiety around being able or not to do that and beating oneself up if you can't. So that's where I've got to in my elder years of saying, just let yourself off the hook a little bit. If you're at all like that, just hang in there. Bless all the things that are good and allow the bad stuff to go down into the earth, and Mother Earth will take care of it. She has got an infinite capacity. The way some people talk, you'd think she's on the verge of extinction. Some things are
But other
dying
things,
out,
but other things
but there
come.
are other things are coming, and things can come back.
As they've
Healing
just done the
is
dodo, I think. Yeah,
healing is
exactly.
always possible. That is the thing. We can't grow back limbs as such, but not yet anyway. Maybe we'll be able to in the future.
Well, who knows? Maybe with a bit of urine, but
We'll turn into
um, don't know that. But I saw that they brought back the dodo, and I was like, how cruel to bring back a species that's gone extinct, and then you've only got one. And I just thought it's bad enough being the only
Oh,
person in a room that's got some one particular condition, but it's bad, the dodo's the only dodo on the planet. And I just thought there's no
oh
consideration. It's just this race to kind of, do something to get your name up in lights.
no.
It's like
Oh
have
dear.
it's the community consciousness which is often missing when
Yeah,
people are kind of trying to, but then that's the dark side of the inventor. It's like, someone doing it for
sure,
selfish reasons against someone doing it for the community. It's like this polarity that is
sure, sure.
essential, and thus everything is totally manageable, and it's not like we're not eternal, so we won't get another crack at it because we do.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is all the learning that we do now is never lost. It goes into the memory banks that is shared by everybody. You know, we don't have to make our name and get a patent on something
I
and call
know.
something after ourselves. I get really like overwhelmed by the fact that I put this massive bloody great sign on my window with my name on it. And I'm just like, oh, it looks like I'm shouting at people. So, part of me is going, no, I'll just quietly sit in the corner and do my stuff. But you have to do both. You can't be always out there, look at me, look at me, look at me. And you can't always be hiding in the corner. I had this very conversation with a colleague this morning who is helping me out at the clinic and going to be one of my partners down there. So that's really nice. And we were talking about that because she's got a similar, she says, I feel like I've got blockages. And I said, yeah, and you are working towards your goal step by step, one thing at a time. And I said, here I am after all these years, still terrified of overexposure. I don't want to be the person that everybody goes, oh, June, you're so great. You're so wonderful. You're just magic. You're just this. That's just blowing smoke up somebody's backside. And you can actually fall for that. It's very seductive. Oh,
Or you can recognize it and where you're kind of, you've managed to raise your hand there, June.
I
You can
know, I saw that.
you can
It's
recognize
cute.
your kind of, and allow yourself to receive. You've earned
Oh,
your
yeah. In,
stripes,
in a limited
tiger.
way.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, as long as it doesn't get out of control and you don't
Yeah.
become like a dictator. But I don't think that's going to happen because,
Don't
like,
let your head get so big you can't get through the door is my favorite expression. It,
and yeah, but then that's that whole thing of regret. Like people say, oh, that the atom was supposed to be used for something else and then it got used for something terrible. And it's like, no, stop looking back with regret. Everything happened, and I'm just as guilty of this, living in the past. Everything happened the way it happened, and that's the way it happened, and it happened perfectly.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
as
mm-hmm.
my Bowen lady keeps saying to me, remember, at the core of you is absolute perfection. There is value in perfection in absolutely every single one of us. No one can take that away from us, actually, in truth. It's within, within, within. And no one can harm it. No one can do anything. We decide if we feel that they've put us down, if we're going to wear their labels, if we're going to give away our power. We decide that. You take away that veil, you're just this beautiful, iridescent rainbow of gorgeousness and love. So I
Yes.
just want everyone to know that. Um, Something else I'm going to talk about is I've come across a company that organizes tours, so wellness retreats. You just have to have an idea, and which I do, witchcraft or astrology, and then they plan the trip with you. And the people have to buy their tickets and their air flights, and it includes all food, all excursions, everything, and stay in these places around the world. So I'm gonna run a
Mm,
retreat next year for astrology and one for witchcraft. So watch this space, everyone.
nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's lovely. Well, I also wanted to mention, as I have done in my newsletter this month, I finally got to grips. Well, I haven't finished. It's an ongoing project, getting all the names and the addresses of people into different groups so I can send my newsletter out to people. And I put in about we're coming up to the year of the fire horse
Yes,
in
66.
February, and
But
it's not far away, but it's still, we're still in the snake. We're still shedding. We're still clearing. It goes with the theme of going within for the winter, just looking at all these internal things, talking to ourselves, giving ourselves some cozy time, and then thinking about how we're going to gallop on this horse come February 17th. It's going to be a bit gallopy, I think. Yeah.
well, fire horses are either totally all in or totally all out. So, fire, as the truest of the elementals, has no patience and is always in the now. It's in the moment, fire. It can't be in the past, it can't be in the future. It's very present.
Mm.
So, and horse is, as you note, a creature, a beautiful, loyal creature that can move very, very fast or not, depending on which horse you got in the stables.
Well, yes. Yes.
Um, it's like a fire horse would indicate a very creative year, a very moving, as you've already said, possibly a very fast paced, because it's fire, it's not wooden. If it was a wooden horse, we'd be rocking backwards and forwards on our horse made for two. If it was a water horse, we'd be a seahorse. There'd be a lot of male energy around. If there was an air horse, it would be Pegasus. And so we've got this fire horse, which,
Earth horse, earth horse,
I did Earth.
the fi-
I
the
said
fifth.
wooden. Well, yeah, we
You
do our
said
different
wood. Yeah,
elements.
yeah. Earth is the missing one in the five elements there.
For
Comes
you,
after the
not for me.
fire.
Yeah, I know. I call
Yeah.
wood Earth.
So
You
yeah.
have a different one. You can think
Yeah.
up your
I
analogy.
love those images. The earth. Well, you see, I think there's the working horses, like
Which
the
I would say
Shire
the Earth
horses
horses.
with the hairy ankles.
Those Earth horses.
I think those would be the earth horses, the ones that steadily, steadily move forward. They don't gallop, they just do the job, and they're very, very focused and very fond of their food and all that stuff that goes with the earth element. Um, but yeah, I think certainly the fire horse has got to be careful of being overwhelmed with water. Water can
Put it
dampen it
out.
down because of the control of the five elements that way round. But it is fed by the wood, which we're just coming out of this year of the wooden snake. So, it's all yeah, it's all flowing. Always is.
Journeys. Journeys, speed, fire, creation,
Hmm.
just Ferrari. Think Ferrari.
Red one.
Red Ferrari for this year. Hmm.
Yep, there we go.
Fantastic. Jude,
Horsepower. How are
yes,
we doing for
my God,
time?
we're doing really well. Have we got anything
Yes.
else to say before we go?
Oh gosh.
I mean, that's a leading question because we could keep on talking for hours, but
But we haven't got ours, and we'll be back here again, will we?
we will,
On
unless
the
you've already gone.
20th?
No, the 19th.
I'll be in Thailand.
So will you be doing it from Thailand?
I could do that.
Well, we'll see, won't we? Well, you
Yeah.
keep in touch and let me know. When are you going to Thailand?
16th.
Okay, well, you can decide. whether we run another one from Thailand.
Provided everything goes smoothly. My daughter's flight was delayed by 3 hours because the solar flares are really affecting the software in the planes, and they had to sit on the tarmac while people fixed it.
Ooh, that's so interesting.
It
Love getting
is,
intel from other parts of the world that's actually happening. I mean, I don't watch news anyway, so I don't know what's happening half the time, but
no,
wow, that's interesting.
it
That
is
is
interesting.
interesting.
Mm.
Ooh, the upgrade is happening on every single
Every
level.
level. It's
I've got to
just
stop putting
everything.
funny heads because this is going to pick a shit kind of, thumbnail. Always does. Right. On that fantastic
But we
note,
could do the heart thing. See what happens. We
my
could do
hearts don't work.
the heart thing.
We've got a gesture thing.
There.
June can gesture. I dismissed it with patience, lack of patience. It's gone.
It's there.
She sends love. I send love, and we will be in touch soon. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye,
Bye for
everyone.
now.